But ESPN has reported, this is Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham finding this out, that Bill Belichick did not make the Hall of Fame this year. 6-time Super Bowl champion, 7-time, right? How many rings did he?
2 with the Giants as defensive coordinator. That's not a passenger ride, by the way. That was the unit that got them there, and then 6 with the Patriots.
So an 8-time Super Bowl champion, but a 6-time head coach winning Super Bowls. A lot of people will tell you the greatest coach to ever live. You could debate Joe Gibbs doing it with 3 quarterbacks or some other guys along the way. He's one of the best who's ever done it. This is what a first ballot Hall of Famer looks like. It is irrefutable. There is no debate. This is just paperwork now. We just have to go through the process here. And people just have to submit. You say yes, we all raise our hands, and we move on. He's not getting into the Hall of Fame this year. From Adam Schefter, he says Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta, when told that Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, Peter King, a 32-year Hall of Fame voter who didn't cast a ballot this year, said, "Holy bleep, oh bleep, I'm very, very, very surprised." I just texted a Hall of Fame voter because I was trying to figure out. I said, is this the same panel of 50 people that vote on players? And he said, yep. And I said, how is this possible? And he says, I have no idea.
Yeah, rightly so.
Because I can't speak for anybody else.
So
I don't want to.
Here's my belief. You know who else is up for the Hall of Fame this year? Robert Kraft. They don't like each other, and it's been public. They don't like each other. They're sniping at each other. They're backstabbing each other. This is the ultimate power play. Somehow, some way, Robert Kraft won this face-off. I can't figure out how. I can't figure out how these writers were influenced by it. They're bringing up the 2007 Spygate scandal and Deflategate, this, that, the other, whatever. And the reputation for cheating is there. But again, he was allowed to play. The NFL said, you're fine, you're coaching, suspensions, whatever happened. It's over with. The record speaks for itself. And again, it just reminds me how much I just cannot stand Hall of Fame voters across multiple sports. Just the arrogance or the hubris to somehow have this happen. But to me, this is some kind of backroom deal where there's just enough people influenced by Kraft so that he gets to go in and doesn't have to be there with Bill Belichick to go in at the same time. They're going to make Belichick wait a year. What a joke that is. What an unbelievable joke. And again, I'm making that up. I have no idea if that's true or not. I do know they don't like each other in terms of this conspiracy. But all I'm doing is grasping for an explanation for the least explainable thing you could have as part of this process. It is insane. Again, if he's not the number 1 coach of all time, he's 2 or 3 or 4. I don't care. 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. 9-time Super Bowl appearances. Half of the AFC Championship games involving teams in the AFC over 20 years involved the Patriots and his squad. It was all Brady. Fine. Just even he's in the room. If you're just taking notes from what Brady said, you're still putting him in the Hall of Fame. What a comical farce.
It was all Brady is about as disrespectful, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but someone out there would, and it's an egregious, ridiculous assertion, right? That it was just all Tom Brady when they went 11-5 with Matt Castle the year that he shredded his ACL. But there's never been an easier automatic Hall of Famer than Bill Belichick this year. So here's how this should work. We talked yesterday about what I believe to have been, by the standards of sports, and this is just sports, a sports travesty. A tragedy as far as sports go. Not talking about the world. There's a lot of worse things going on. Everything is terrible. I get it. But Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl, having absolutely zero reason to be in the Pro Bowl this year, ends that event mattering even the slightest little bit. Now, you can make the case. I was just talking to our producers behind the scenes, and they felt for a long time, ever since Snoop Huntley years ago, playing 4 games, got into the Pro Bowl, that it didn't matter anyway. That could be. It's dead. We need to stop having a Pro Bowl, or stop having the Pro Bowl distinction on Pro Football Reference that people can use to negotiate salaries and get any kind of credit from. I thought when I heard that yesterday, it was a joke. It turned out to be real. It is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. This is worse, I think.
Yep.
And I hate doing the seemingly hot take bit, like just saying this, and it's going to sound like I'm doing a shouty show thing, or if I tweet it out, which I'll do soon enough, it's going to seem like I'm doing a social media take for interaction. I mean what I'm about to say 1,000%. If you are one of the at least 11 people, we don't know how many more there were.
Right, because the threshold is 40 out of 50. If you don't make that, it's at least 11.
It takes 40 votes to say that Bill Belichick's a Hall of Famer to get him into the Hall. He didn't get that many out of 50. So if you were one of the 11 people who said no, or even if you didn't say no, but you just spilled on your ballot and you forgot to fill that part out, you should have your vote taken away. That is honestly how I feel.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's big and grandiose and a hot take. I mean it to my core. If you voted against Bill Belichick as a Hall of Famer, you do not deserve to have a vote. Because what it tells me is you're not voting based on merit. You're not voting based on what's actually going to matter in this process. Accomplishments on the field. You're voting based on either likability or that time he was mean to you, or you don't like his personality, or something else, some political, non-significant, some insignificant reason that shouldn't be what you're voting on. So if you are one of the 11 voters who said, let me look at Bill Belichick's resume, 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator, got to another 3 as a head coach. Nope, not this time. You got to wait a year. You should not be allowed to vote ever again. You should have your vote taken away. 1,000% full stop. There are so many capable people waiting in the wings to vote for this thing. You have lost your privilege. You're an unserious person. Very simple for me.
I echo everything you just said, and I'd add to this. These should be wallflowers. This should not be the story. And this is my at the core of my disdain for baseball writers who fall into the same trap where they've decided to take some sort of stand. Wrong. You don't get to do that. Now, they do because they're going to get away with it. They'll be allowed to continue voting and get to have their moment where they put the trident on the ground and go on a couple shady shows and maybe explain why and pat themselves on the back for some sort of job well done as their own self-appointed sports ombudsman to let us know their own view on morality or whatever else. You look at the numbers and you decided that person was a Hall of Famer or not. You call balls and strikes. They're not here, as you said. If you voted no, thanks for you letting me know that you don't deserve it anymore, that you'd be stripped of that. And you see the same deal that with baseball. There are years, I mean, you can go back over history. Mickey Mantle wasn't unanimous, and Joe DiMaggio wasn't unanimous, and Babe Ruth wasn't unanimous. A couple people are like, Stan Musial, I don't see it with him. I'm going to make him wait a year. This sort of weird political nonsense that goes with it.
Could this be a Spygate thing, like steroids?
It definitely is. So, yeah, there are a few people, and that was speculated in the ESPN piece, is that a couple of guys decided that it didn't get punished enough, so I'll do it. And that's my point. To me, for the bylaws, if I'm entrusting you, Grant Paulson, I'm not saying you, but I'm on this Hall of Fame committee or whatever, and I go, you know what? Grant has put in enough time and effort and energy. He's a respected football guy. I'm going to have you as a Hall of Fame voter. Now, Grant, I'm going to sit you down. Here are the bylaws. You don't get to do personal stands, okay? You're judging the career based on the career. That's it. What happened between the lines, okay? The results. That's your criteria, balls and strikes. This should not be allowed. Grandstanding to go, you know what? I disagree with the league's level of punishment over the years on Bill Belichick. So this is how I will punish him, right? That's speculated in this Don Van Naden and Seth Wickersham piece. I'll stand up and say, this should have been worse. I'll make him wait a year. That supersedes, that is above what you should be allowed to do as a voter. Again, the same thing with baseball. It happens all the time where they go, well, he's alleged to have done steroids. Even though baseball let him play, I will punish him. I'll be the guardian. That's not in the job description. It has been because a lot of these guys, these obstructionists, have been able to get away with it for so long. But that's what this reminds me of, is they decided that the NFL didn't do a good enough job punishing him, so they get to. And it's their big moment to feel big and strong and tough where they finally have the upper hand on that big bully. I find it ridiculous.
Well, here's another thing that needs to happen, and this is long overdue. I don't think this is how it works. I'm trying to confirm this. We should be able to see every person that voted and what they voted. I think that's the least in terms of an expectation.
Yeah.
To put your name on your work.
Call it the Belichick.
I mean, these people, they're some of them are waiting until the day they die for this Lifetime Achievement Award, for this honor. I mean, it does alter and affect, post-coaching, post-playing life for so many of these people in a serious way. This is a really serious thing. This is a very, very meaningful, impactful thing in the sports bubble. Again, perspective, life, big things happening. I get it. Please save me the lecture. But in our little bubble here, we're doing a sports talk radio show. Whether or not people get into the Hall of Fame after their careers is a very meaningful, important, serious thing. And the least that people that vote on this thing can do is have some transparency on who they voted for and who they didn't and why. And one of the things I really like is in baseball, you've seen this a lot, where writers now come out and tell you their ballot and stand by what they say. But I want to know, who are the 11 people that said no to Bill Belichick? I think the least that they can do is say, I didn't, and it's because I think he cheated in Spygate, and he should pay a price for that. I won't agree with that. I'll think you're a boob, but at least I will know that it's not because he was mean to you in a press conference, or you don't like how he handles himself, or you're mad that he's dating the 24-year-old who runs the North Carolina Tar Heels.
13 out of 24. That's the number of AFC championship games he was in during the time he coached. And that's with a couple bookended years where they were a disaster. Now, that's his own personnel management. If that's, if you're like, yeah, the last couple years were bad when he was in charge of everything. Okay, I suppose. But my goodness gracious. Yeah, it's indefensible is the point. And there are other names that when you go through the list of other coaches that are nominated, there's some good cases for guys in there. There's good cases for plenty of players that make it or don't make it. But the idea that a dude that if you asked just on blind taste test where you would go within the Hall of Fame, there are certain tiers, right? We don't think of it that way, or they don't do it that way, but we all think of it a certain way. Like when the guy retires, it's the all-time leading passer, rusher. Like when Tom Brady, when it's his turn to go in, he's going in first, and we think of him as an upper tier as opposed to a guy that's like one of the lowest quarterbacks that barely eked in, right? That didn't have a championship or something. We know there's tiers within the Hall of Fame. You would put him on the top tier. This is in the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Full stop. Whether you have him 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, when you do the little statues with the faces, his dumb face is on there with his stupid hoodie. Like, that's him. And you couldn't put him in for some sort of reason that you decided that was bigger than football. Again, I cannot believe it's allowed. I cannot believe it. But again, it's either a Robert Kraft influential production, and I'm grasping at straws here, or to your point, it's I'm going to get him. Or I'll this time I'll put my finger in the bully's eye and be able to send some sort of message that I don't have to put my name on, by the way, that I can hide behind the anonymity of the process.